Most recently was shortlisted at the World Architecture Awards in Barcelona, John Mainwaring.
This is a quick photograph I took with a cell phone the other day in Queen Street, and one of the things about it is that these gentlemen don't quite realise that these bunya nuts that are in the tarmac at the Queen Street Mall aren't just celebrating the use of bunya nuts in the traditional indigenous culture. They're in fact one bunya nut for each year of white occupation. Dealing with Fiona on the Queen Street Mall, she originally wanted to do a bora ring in the middle of Albert Street and Queen Street, and of course over the period of time we eliminated that and came to terms with the idea of using stormwater, a stormwater canopy. To this day, I still haven't seen a proper gush coming out of the funnel there. If anybody has a camera one day, when they see the gush coming out, they say it's pretty awesome. One of my colleagues took a photograph of the cell phone the other day. That's one of Fiona's latest works, which is an indictment on white culture. You can see Noosa Hill there, which shows some fairly nasty things that have happened by white culture there. We're involved with doing a large development on Noosa Hill there, which was involved in a visual amenity court case, which is one of the largest local government court cases in Australia. And you can see that we are integrating the architecture and the trees so that there's no visual amenity problems. And again, we often use indigenous artists to help us formulate the tectonics for these buildings. This is Rosella Namok, some of her drawings, which we draw inspiration from in helping to blend the buildings into the landscape. And we design buildings that are really nice to sit in the rain. And you can see some of the traditional heritage concepts. The Red Hill House there, still coming through and reliving in our own work there. I've caught up. And you can see the other little nooks that sort of run off the living rooms, and you can imagine we still do buildings with big overhangs. I know it's not very fashionable now, but when it's really pouring rain, these little nooks that work off the interiors of these stilt houses are really nice when it's pouring rain. So you can see a lot of the things that we do deal with water. And this is the rest of the project. You can see the hills being left alone there. The next phase of the project's going on in the valley there. We're using David Nixon from the Queensland College of Art and Wollongabba Art Gallery, and this time we're using the artists from the word go to help inform landscape architects and so on. This is the Sunshine Coast University, inspired from the University of Virginia by Thomas Jefferson. The original library in Virginia was the opaque rotunda at the end of the spine. We developed the idea for the Sunshine Coast University Library as a translucent building sitting along the spine in that particular campus. And you can see the idea of translucent slithers running down the campus, and you can see the grand veranda that runs down the spine. For some reason, they got somebody else to do the extension to the library. I don't know why. And you can see in the next diagram that we had actually worked out how we would extend the library. Maybe one of the things was that a lot of the inspiration that we use for our architecture is that we want to produce a genuine Pacific architecture, and a lot of the influences are from the archipelago and from vernacular cultures around our area. You can see this diagram up here. The original library was there. There was a small indent that was informing a courtyard for our concept. The two big metal pieces on the building there were like big steel buttocks. They were supposed to come off and the building was supposed to extend. But for some reason they didn't use us, so the resulting building was that we got well and truly a nasty thing sort of happened to our building. And funny enough that the veil, the trendy veil that was on that new building, was put onto cold room panels, and and the dogs started to chime in when the sound started to come with the wind. So if you believe in karma and architecture, this particular building shows a vernacular building. It's the old boat shed, Humphrey's boat shed. The sorts of buildings that they give us inspiration. You have the utilitarian. This is one house that was just 2 wings. That shows the space in between, how one client's evolved that particular space in between. So they're constantly changing the idea of how these negative spaces work in the house. This has been translated into a large project in South Brisbane at SW1 and the Cox Rainer master plan. You can see the centre of the building. We still are generating a spine within the centre of the building. And instead of using the landscape, we're using the townscape as a background. You can see the atrium there. There are no trees anymore, but the same ideas are still there. We're using the townscape tectonics to integrate with the building. And what actually happened at that building for Sunshine Coast Uni was that the Vale started to sing with the sound and resonate, so it cost them $500,000 to fix it up so that the sound wouldn't resonate. And there you can see another shot of the building at SW1. No trees anymore. It's just total townscape tectonic. The other way that we stop buildings from intruding onto the landscape is that we're starting to design buildings that fly. Thank you.